Good evening and welcome to Tuesday at Two Lines. I am going to put it out there right now. I don't feel great. I've been sick for the last couple of days, hacking my head off, and it's impacted my voice. But the live stream must go on. But I'm excited tonight because I've got George and Shotgun Dave, two of the three Amigos, in to talk about their kit cars that they've been working on and designing, and we're just going to talk about that whole process. But George sent me a test car, and this thing is a blast to drive. So we're going to talk about that tonight, and then I'll get their opinion on what they think of the new Lola. Mine came in the mail today, and I'm pretty excited about that. My NSRs have been some of my favorites here lately. And then we got another fast lap challenge from Paul. And this car is quick. I don't know if we'll find time I don't know if I feel up to getting on the track with it tonight, but I need to record some fast lap videos. I've got a few left to do, and we'll see what else we get into the chat. So, but guys, thanks for being here tonight. I don't know how many. Gosh, we already have 74 people on. That's crazy. So if you think about it, give us a thumbs up. I appreciate it. It really does help get the live stream out there so people can see us and hear us and join in the fun conversation. So I've been looking forward to this. And then I want to talk a little bit about going to the cave. I released a video on Sunday about going up to Elyria, Ohio, and visiting the cave. And I've got, 3 or 4 more tracks that I've been invited to go to. And that kind of got me motivated to get to those other tracks. My friend Bernie from Cincy Slots, our friend Ross, are 2 tracks that I've not been to that I've been getting invited to for 2 years, and I've got to figure out how to get down there to get those guys on the channel. But and then before we bring George and Dave on, a little plug. Paul sent me the Spirit America Racing team. I'm a sponsor those guys. They're headed to Italy for the 24-hour race, which is pretty cool. We've had some awesome things happen. I got a message from Thunderslot. Linda, shout out to Linda at Thunderslot. She sent me this wonderful email, and she's lining up some things for the team while they're there. But she also donated one of the Can-Am, the 350 Can-Am, the Ferraris, for the raffle, which is awesome. So we're pretty excited about that. So shout out to Thunderslot. Thank you for doing that. And then Harry Wise donated from Home Racing World, donated Mosler, I think. So all of that is in Home Racing World. There's an actual forum post about the team, and you can get out there and support them and buy a raffle ticket with a chance to win some. I mean, the car lineup is pretty cool. So here is the scan to donate. You hit that with your phone, and it'll take you to the web page, and it's all on the up and up. You can see how many people have supported so far. It treats it just sort of like a Kickstarter program, and you can see how much they've raised. So I had somebody send me kind of a nasty gram about it's just a big money grab, and I'm like, these guys are donating some really nice cars. I'm not sure that it's a money grab. I think they're just trying to subsidize a little bit of their trip with some great stuff that they have. So I think for a $10 raffle ticket, you have the opportunity to get a really nice car. So I don't see it that way. So I'm supporting them. And if you have an extra $10 and want to have a chance to win, one of about 10 or 11 slot cars now, they should all be out there on that post at Home Racing World. So, all right, let's without further ado, let's bring the guys on. See if I can do this. Maybe. Maybe there's George. Okay, there's Dave, and there is me. Okay, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Okay, Ecamm Live. That's all right. We're going to roll with it. It's going to look weird, but
Need one more person up there. Brady
Yeah,
Bunch.
we can invite somebody. See, it's throwing my background. Oh well. All right. Let's do it. So the other day I get this message in my email that it says George has sent you a package. And so I texted him. I'm like, okay, George, what are you sending me now? And it's this little car. This is the Falcon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's got the test livery, as you can see. He spent a lot of time with a Sharpie
The
putting
test
some
livery.
putting some great decoration on it. But this is one of the kits that Shotgun Dave's been developing and learning, self-teaching himself Blender, and with the resin printers you guys have, it's a fully fledged slot car kit. And so let's jump in there, Dave. What like started you down this path of wanting to design something, and was it just like the effort to learn the printer better, and then it just
This
took you
is
down this
all
path? Or
Harry's fault, is what this is.
okay,
We've been fooling around with this stuff for what 7, 8 months now, right, George? A long time we
Yeah,
started
about that
messing with
long.
this, and it's always been our dream or whatever you want to call it to have bodies, that we can build our cars with. And Harry just happened to mention, he says, wouldn't it be cool if we had a chassis we could print 3D and then we could just have fun with, slap these cars together and get them on a track. And I went, yeah, that would be cool. So I started looking around, and there wasn't. I mean, there's a lot of chassis out there. Don't be wrong, a lot of really great chassis out there that you could buy the file for and print. But the thing is that they're all specific to a car. Um, you know, if you want to swap out your Carrera body and put it on a nice chassis, there's tons of that, or a lot of that kind of thing. But
yeah,
there was nothing that was like universal. There was one universal chassis. So I went ahead and I got it, and I printed one, and it was horrible. I was like, well, this isn't going to work. So it all started out. I just kind of fused it all together to make it one solid piece, and I figured I could just take it back apart and move it around for wheelbase. And then I was like, man, it quickly hit its zenith and was like, okay, this is not going to work. So I just said, forget it. I'm going to have to start doing this and figure it out. So I just figured it out and started building my own. And here we are.
that's awesome.
So
So about
we're
how much time do you think you have in from start to finish at this point?
about a month.
About a month.
And,
Yeah.
and at like doing it like a job, like get my wife off to work and my son off to school. And by 9 o'clock, I'm at the computer doing this. I do it all day, and I've
On
been
and
doing
on.
it 5 days a week for a month. And even sometimes Saturdays and Sundays, I'm texting George and Harry, "Hey, look at this, look at that," And so it's been a constant thing, and it's been their input too. Uh, George, as the master tester over there, he'll bash them and bang around. Then he'll tell me, "Hey, David, this isn't working. You need to fix this." Okay, so we redesign it, and then Harry, of course, with his wisdom, you should probably think about this or do that. And so all three of us, brainstorming together, we've come up with this thing. So
Well, I mean, I think about the amount of the years of slot car that's gone behind this. Dave, you've been in the hobby for a long time. Harry's been in the hobby for a long time. George has been in the hobby for a long time. Like you add those years up, that's a lot of knowledge, and
yeah,
so like I'm not surprised that you guys are not doing stuff like this, but it really started with the bodies first, though, right?
it did. It started just because um, there aren't any bodies out there, as everybody who's entered the showdown knows. Trying to find a 132 scale body to enter into those two classes is damn near impossible. And so over the years, we've made a few, and we've done molds and cast them out of resin and stuff like that. But
Right.
even those aren't very. There's very few of them. So your selection was very limited. So that was why. Well, it was last summer when we were all at Harry's. George sat down at the computer and he starts looking around and he starts. We went on this website where there was all these 3D bodies. We're going, look at this. There's a Camaro. There's a this. There's a that. Holy crap! And next thing you know, we're buying. So we didn't have printers. Or let's buy that body, get that body. It's like, what are we gonna do with it?
That's funny.
And so then, of course, George got his first printer, and we were off to the races, literally. So it just blew up
Yeah,
from there.
the
So
start of that was really Harry. So I had showed Harry this Saturn 4 Ultra printer, and it was coming out in August, the end of August or something like that. It was July where we were there when Dave was talking
Mhm.
about it. I had told him, hey, this would be interesting, because I told him I want to get one of these because I think we have a shot of actually getting 132nd bodies because I've seen this 3D printables place before, and before I got into printing and I saw all the different cars they had. This really opens up a lot if we could get a body because we struggle so much with body. The only one who was making really bodies were either Dave, Harry, or Mark Thomas. And Mark Thomas put a lot of time into his bodies. That's why when you see that green Camaro or that green car, that is a Mark Thomas mold. And those are really a lot of hard work. That takes a lot of time to get silicone to mold the body, and then the silicone only lasts 24 pulls, starts degrading, and then you have to
Right.
do another mold. So this
Yeah,
really
time
was
and money.
more of a viable option to, and economical because the printer was what, $400,
Right.
and then the resin's $30, and you're off to the races. And it was Harry that really started it because he bought the printer. I was like, Harry, what are you doing? He says, no, try it out. I want to see what happens. He was all in, and so was Dave. That was where it kind of
Yeah.
everything started rolling. And here we are, what, 7 months later, and
Almost a
it's
year
a
later
lot
now. Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that it started for me. Like there were Mad P, who's been in the chat a bunch, had sent me, so had Resin printed a couple of Mavericks for me, and I was like, man, like you couldn't find anything, and so he found a file and printed them for me and sent them to me, and I plan to use them for the Home Racing World series, and that woke me up to the fact that holy cow, if you could figure out a way to design the cars to be printed, you could print anything you. And it didn't really. That was what kind of woke me up to the potential of 3D printing and resin printing. That for slot car, the hobby of slot cars, this could be a really powerful thing. And then when you guys started releasing, bodies, 132nd scale bodies, I realized
Yeah.
that everybody had their first car. And if you look at like the analytics of my channel and the average age of the people who pay attention to my channel, like
Yeah.
nobody's making cars for that age group. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're building. All the other companies are building cars for a younger age group, and that's what we want them to do. But there's still a section of the hobby that desires an old Thunderbird, an old Fairlane, an old 55 Chevy, or the Monte Carlo, or the Dart, right? So I think it's great that you guys have been doing that. But so it started with
Yeah.
A
the
lot of
bodies,
it.
and then go ahead, George.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were still going. Keep going.
No, I was just saying
That's
it started with
true.
the bodies, and then you guys started playing with the interiors. And for me,
Yeah.
that was the brilliant thing because the interior is a
That
tough
right
thing for me.
there is I hate it doing interiors, and I would say it on my videos. I know
And,
Dave made it simple, and I did my version, but God, getting Q-tips and then gluing them with UV glue, and then making the holes, putting the driver, and trying to make a steering wheel, a piece of wire.
yeah,
This right here really, and again, the next step is the 3 post mount, which I showed on the video, and I know I'm gonna see about getting those out because that even makes it easier to mount the body because you just mark your holes with paint. Yeah, right there. Put it on the chassis, lift it up. There are your holes. I have a little desktop drill, and I put the holes in them, and it was like, "Oh my god, this is like the easiest mount I've ever done in my life." So it
yeah,
Yeah.
really helps out a lot instead of doing the traditional side where you put the, super glue and then you epoxy it later when the
right,
plates are, on it. So it really helps out for people and to get into scratch building if they choose to, because that's why the plastic chassis came about, because a lot of guys don't want to pick up a soldering iron. They like the cars, but they're not going to want to do it, because it's just something they just don't. They're not at that level yet, or they just don't want to. And I understand. I
yeah,
don't,
I think
think any
even
different of them.
these interiors, I think, are going to help increase the scratch building too. Just like you said, George, the mounting the body to the chassis is the biggest challenge.
It
And
is.
I mean, you can even if you solder a terrible chassis together and you still want to use it, you still got to figure out how to mount the damn body to it.
Yeah.
And it's putting the plastic strut inside and doing this and that, and oh man, it's a pain. So this will eliminate that.
The
You
hammer.
just 3 holes in it and glue
Love it.
this in, and away you go.
That's
So
awesome.
it
Yeah,
George has
just
he's getting his patina
try.
paint down. And
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah, one of the things that Dusty and I talked about when we were first building the first scratch build stuff that we did, like the number of times I had to super glue the little supports in there to mount the body, and I would get
yep,
them and I would think I was straight, and then all of a sudden they would dry, and I would pick up the body, and one was up here and one was down here, and I'm like,
yep.
Yeah,
the
I've done
body's
that
not
before.
set. So then you pop them
So
out and
aggravating.
redo it again, and like 3 or 4 times, and it was really frustrating. So yeah, the body post, I think it's going to be the way to go. But even if you don't use those posts and you have your own way of mounting the body, just
Yeah, you
the
just cut the post
simplicity,
off.
yeah, the simplicity of gluing that tray up there, and it just looks so good. I think that's just a game changer for scratch building, because we
Well,
all
that's
have
It's
where
little
a
things.
lot of
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Good.
the
Sorry.
design thing for me started was the interiors. I was like, I don't know, I'm sure maybe not everybody's seen it, but I have a video out there of how to make an interior out of a playing card and all the other junk that you use to put together to make it. And it's not that hard, but it's time consuming, and you got to buy a bunch of stuff to do it with. And I get tired of that. I hate it. That's the worst part about it for me is building the interiors. So I told George and Harry, I'm going to figure out a way to make an interior. And the first ones they're kind of thick, and they kind of stick down too far. They foul the rear wheels. So I just kept refining it and refining it.
Right.
But again, it was learning new processes within Blender, that because all the roll bars and stuff, that's all. It's what I was doing before was I was finding a file here on the like at Colts, and another file over here at 3D printables, and using this guy over there, and so I was like chopping things and putting them all together, and it was kind of hodgepodge.
Right.
This is all me. The only thing that's not me is the driver figure. Otherwise, the rest of this, I designed it all. And so now I can custom tailor it to the car so that the roll bar, when you look at the roll bar in the car, it sits where it's supposed to be sitting.
Right.
It's
That
not,
looks great.
it's so much better. And it's one piece. You paint the driver, paint the thing up, and throw it in there. You're done. It's just easy. And yeah. So then it just mushroomed from there. I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, let's do this. And so, like I say, here we are.
Yeah.
And John had another good point on the old pin and tube trick, which was done a long time ago, where you get, I forget which KNS number, and you use needles. You
Yeah,
bend
that's a
them.
kid.
That
That's
was
a
like
commercial.
commercial track cars. You could do that too if you're going to with these. I mean, any way you can hold the body on is what
Yeah, but
matters.
if you're into scale modeling, having
That's
a
yeah.
couple of pins stuck inside of your
Pins.
car isn't going to fly. At least not for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I won't. We're all about scale. In fact, whenever every year when we have these races, Harry is very specific. He's very adamant that this is not just a see how fast you can make your car go race. This is about
Right.
scale modeling. He wants the cars to look like real cars, at least as best we can.
Right.
So, it's that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're trying to make it easy to scale model your car. So,
It's really
and
a labor of love. It's
Sure.
it is.
we're not here to make I'm not
Nope.
here to make boogo bucks, and like I'm gonna
Nope.
be a this is all to help everybody out to have fun. So
Yeah.
this is to also for the future, and Harry had mentioned it. I'm gonna quote what he mentioned. He said, maybe one day we'll have a proxy with these cars. So there you go.
Right.
And I had mentioned that before, but the showdown always remains a brass scratch built car. That series will
Right.
always it's been that way for 12, 13 years, right? So
Right.
but he's not closed minded to say, well, I ain't gonna allow these cars. He actually mentioned it. So I mean, there's a possibility. But again, it's all about having fun. Uh I like I've said before, and I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, it's just not my cup of tea to go to a track for a national event because it's really it's a pressure cooker. You have to perform.
Right.
You can't be an idiot and crash your car and then piss other drivers off. That's what I'm afraid of. That's
Right.
the part I don't like because if I go over there and I'm crashing, they're gonna think I'm intentionally doing, and then it starts becoming. It could come to the point to be violent because I've seen it,
Yeah.
and
No, no
you know,
dunkling allowed at the Nationals.
yeah, when we do it at Home Racing World, you see the
Yeah,
race. If anybody's seen the race, everybody's laughing,
Right.
and if a
yeah.
couple people crash, we'd had some accidents where, what was it? Damn it, the land barge, ragtops. I think it was, I can't remember the Thunderbird. The whole body flew off the chassis and then the body slid, and it's
That's
on
right.
video. And
Yeah.
that is hilarious because it's just like you don't expect those things. I mean, I've
No,
taken cars and test them where the wheel flies off. We had one this past one where the car jumped and hit. That's fun. And you got to remember if you build these, expect them to be scarred a little. That's
That's right.
why I call that car a hammer because that's what we call them. We call them hammers when they got their little badge of honor, and it just adds character. But it's all about having fun, having food and drink, and then talking about new ideas. That's where the collaboration between Harry, and Dave and myself is. We're always trying to think of an easier way to get people to get into scratch building and then get into this.
Right.
There are no American type cars like this. Okay, we have what SCX, we have Carrera, we have Scalextric, Thunderslot made a car, Pioneer. Those cars they're not producing that much anymore, and they're
Right.
cars that are just basically street car unless you want John Wick's Mustang.
Right.
But there's really nothing out there like this. There's no Ford Falcon. There's no Monte Carlo.
No.
There's no Dodge Dart. I mean, there's none of those. That's why we
Plymouth
really,
Barracuda.
yeah, Barracuda. That's why we wanted to. So just so you're aware, the Barracuda, the Dodge Dart, and the other one was what the 55 Chevy. We did a 55. Those were paid to be designed by Harry, myself, and Dave, or Harry, Dave, and myself. Now it costs money to make those, so when people message and ask for a file like it's, I'm giving them a
Right.
pair of underwear, I take that as an insult because they don't understand. I had to pay money to get those done.
Right.
And we do have a guy that designs, and if you guys want to talk to him to make a car, he'll make it for you. They're excellent files. The cars that are available now are most of these. I think the Dart is available now. The 55 not yet because when you get these files made, you get 150 days exclusivity, I think it is, and then after that
Yeah.
he puts them out there. So you can print these cars, these bodies, not the interiors though, because that's Dave's design. There's where the catch is right there, and the
Right.
chassis is Dave's design. That's 3A3D's design. We ain't gonna put that out to the public. But the bodies are available. But the thing is, you have to um, be able to do the printing. And I have made a video on what settings to use for those bodies on the video before I did last. So if you're interested in getting into resin printing, you can do it. So I'm not trying to save all the stuff for us. We want
Sure.
if people get into it, and there are a couple of guys here on the live stream. It's Feeder Fandage,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Yeah.
They're resin printing, and they're doing good jobs, and they're
They are
making
doing a great
stuff
job.
that nobody has, and that's
Yep.
the whole thing. This is something that nobody has. Nobody is going to do American dirt track cars. There's going to be a ton of Ferraris and a ton of Porsches because Europe is stock car is more popular in Europe, and they're not going to want a Ford Falcon running on their
Right.
track. I mean, it's just not something that they're into. See, there's
That's
look how that
basically
mounts.
it's
God,
basically what it
that's
looks
so
like
easy.
naked. You take the body off. You know,
Yeah.
and
That's
so
cool.
basically that's how you set them up. You put because all the chassis, the body mount is the same. It's in the same position on every chassis. So that's pretty universal. So you get it on there, and then when you slip the body on, you just that's how you set your wheelbase. You
Right.
put it like that, and then put a couple dabs of glue to hold it, and then take that all apart, and then epoxy that interior tray in, and you're ready to go.
Yeah. That's
It's
great.
it's been a journey. We're on number 6
Oh,
now.
6
Yeah.
revisions at this point, right?
6
Wow.
revisions.
Yeah, there was a
And
lot
you
of
see,
smashing and
there's a there's a ton
yeah,
of float in them.
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
they're highly adjustable. Like that's what's impressive to me is it's not just a flat basic chassis. Like
no,
there's some design in this. You guys have done a great job. Um, it really does. It's a good working chassis.
you
Um,
can adjust the front end up and down. You know, it's got set screws top and bottom.
yeah, I've actually ran it on both tracks. So
How did it do
How
um,
on
to do
the
on the
how did it do
plastic
on the
track
outboard?
it I you guys know I
and the
run a clean
slides.
track. I run a clean track, so silicones are the tire of choice. But it actually did really well. Um, it probably ran a little faster than my Jig Dyke Special when I run the brass chassis on it. It was super smooth. I will give you that. It is a smooth, quiet, very easy drive car. I was real impressed with it. George, it looks like you've used for the body screws, you've used the NSR brass screws.
Yeah, the 4836 is
The
what
36s,
because they
yeah.
go into the post easy. We're trying to get a cross tip one because, and I agree with Harry. I hate those flat tip ones
I
because
do
you're always
too.
doing it. It slips. Then you
I'm
jab your
Well,
arm. You
I
jab your
haven't
hand.
I haven't
Uh,
I haven't talked to you, George. Really, I bought
The Amazon
a
stuff, yeah. Check
on
screw.
Amazon, and believe it or not, it's a assortment of computer screws is what it is for
Uh,
repairing computers. And the 2.5, the M2 2.5 is perfect for these. And they, depending on what length you need, it comes with a whole bunch of them. But they're countersunk heads and they're Phillips head, so they fit down into the countersinks real well. And
so Dave has another new chassis design, and we'll show you. This is the first time we're showing it. So we're making one that's adjustable for bodies or for I
yeah,
don't know whatnot. But
So then you would only be
yeah,
uh,
making
so
one
there it is.
uh,
yeah.
adjustable
It's going to
wheelbase.
be adjustable. It has set screws, and you loosen them up, and you can slide it in and out for a wheelbase. So, because as it stands right now, every one of these cars has a proprietary chassis because I have to set the wheelbase for each one,
Right.
and then print them. So it's a real pain. So I thought there's got to be an easier way. So yeah, I decided I'll try adjustable, and it's pretty sturdy. The sliders, for lack of a better word, is just a 3/32 axle. You could use piano wire, but I think an axle is better because it's chrome for one thing, and it's a lot more sturdy than piano wire.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, this is
We
in
have
its
yet to
we're in,
experiment with it though. I haven't
yeah,
put
it's
one
just I
together
mean
yet.
it's already revision 3, and I basically just started doing this one 2 days ago. So
Wow.
um, but it's almost there. It's almost there. I actually think that this would be a better thing than these because you could buy this or get this or whatever, and you could put it under anything. If
Right.
you got an old Carrera body laying around that you want to put something under, you could do this. Or you get one of the interiors and you put it on whatever you want. So the good thing about the interiors is that the resin is easily manipulated. So if you use your Dremel, you could size this to fit just about any car.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that's a
again, I'm trying to think of making it easier. I want to make it easier and easier for people. That's
well,
my goal.
and that chassis makes it easier for you guys. You're only printing one
Right,
chassis for
right,
all the model bodies that you're doing.
right. That's
Yeah.
that's the end game there. It's
Right.
like right now, every time I make a revision on that chassis, we have how many, George? 5 cars that we've finalized.
Yeah, 5 or 6. What is the
The
width of the Falcon? John's asking that question. I see it there. I can't remember.
the
Can you?
width as far as the track width.
Yeah, I think that's what he's asking. Oh, I'm trying to look at questions
Um,
here. Somebody asked me if I mix anything in the resin. No, I do not. It's ABS. The ABS is to test stuff. We'll go to PETG or something like that. I forget PETG. I bought a bamboo printer. It'll be here tomorrow. So there's another, how would you say, a whole other thing with another printer.
Right.
So, and I got to learn
well,
that now.
I I have this thing set at right now 66 millimeters track width, but there's another. You could bring the wheels in another 5 millimeters, so you could
Yeah.
right around 60 millimeters wide. And that's with the big fat tires on it and everything too. So,
Right.
but like here at the rear of the car, the rear of the chassis is only 30, about a little less than 32 millimeters wide, and same at the front. So you could run narrower tires if you wanted to put this under a car that doesn't have hogged out wheel wells.
Right.
Um, it's pretty universal. It's pretty versatile, at least I think that, and that's what I was trying to do. That chassis we got off the internet that we're using was hell. It was way wider than this, and it was like there's no way you could put that under anything but a car with hogged out wheel wells. So I was like, no, it's got to be a better way here. If I took the spacers out, I could move these tires in, and they would just barely poke out from the body. So, so yeah. So it's not. I mean, it's not that wide. Like, and it's the same. The adjustable chassis it's all the same dimensions. So, it only difference is that it's slidable, but
Right.
dimensions are all the same. And depending on how long, hell, you could put this under anything. A lot of cars that would fit under.
Right. Yeah. With that
Only
just
thing,
being adjustable.
it won't fit under the Barracuda because of the rocker panels on the Barracuda. They curve under so far.
Yeah.
I actually had to make a narrower chassis to fit it, so to give float. Otherwise, there would be no body float, and we know how important that is. So
just the guy
that's
who
good.
has these prints, just so you know, his name is D Tomaso on 3D Cult. So if you guys are his files are worth it if you want to purchase a file. Just throwing that out there if you guys want to print your own bodies. So we're not,
Yeah. You're
But for the
welcome to
people who
post.
don't want to, you could go to Stock Car Corner and buy them because some people may not want to get into smelling resin. And trust me, dealing with a failed print and trying to fix things like recently, the little printer I had, usually when it starts, it makes like a stuttering thing where it jumps. It usually means the file is just not the machine's not accepting the file. And I've ran into that before, and then I had to stop it and take it off, and then check the tank. It's a
Right.
lot of work, but I mean, there's a lot of reward to it. You could print all other things too. I mean, Dave was printing some figures for the jalopies for the bodies and stuff. I mean,
Right.
it's the sky's the limit if you're into doing little figures and all that stuff and track stuff on the side, scenery. This is a great way to go if you do resin, 3D resin printing. It's just I think it's better detailed for bodies and figures. Now, the other stuff will be better for like, something other application like what we want to do. But I mean, it just depends how you want to go about doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we were just talking before about 3D printing before we came live, and I have the DS controller, but the one thing I missed about my DeFalco was the 2-finger trigger. And so Josh and Derek, shout out to Derek and Greg, those guys put their heads together and came up with a 2-finger sleeve that snaps on to the trigger. Like,
Yeah, that's
it's
nice. See, you don't have you have something now. That's the
yeah,
beauty of that. You
yeah,
could
but
just like, well, you know what?
you
I'll
dream up
just make
something and
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
you just print
That's
it.
not that is the whole fun of this. It's really not about, it like again, like I said, it's not a money thing for me. Because I mean, I could just do what a lot of people do on the forum. Sometimes you see these experts that come in because they were trying to debunk what we were doing, and then when we
Right.
finally did it, all I heard was crickets
Yeah.
because they had
Cricket.
nothing else to say because we have accomplished it instead of you know not giving it a chance or whatnot. But I mean, it's the fun part is the creation. That is where we're getting our kicks off of creating things, and we have something
Yeah.
that's coming that's going to be really badass that I won't say anymore, but it's going to blow some people away when we get it done. And look out, that's going to be a cool thing right there that we have planned. So just keep that in mind.
It's just great. It's great that you've got
you know,
you're not only doing something right now in the now, yet you're thinking ahead of
yeah.
what
Oh yeah,
now that
constantly
now that
thinking
you've built this, where do we go from here? What else can you
right.
do? And like
Well,
that's the beauty of it.
for me, okay, the showdown's coming up in July, and of course, this year we've decided we're going to do the jalopies Shotgun Dave's favorite. So I want to do something different this year. The model kits for 125th scale, there's a ton of 32 Fords, there's a ton of, so I decided I'm going to do my own thing. So I had to make it because there isn't one. So I sat down and I found this and a little bit of its conglomeration, but like the driver figures, uh, everything. I was showing George this one earlier, and I know this isn't meant to offend anyone. If you know anything about hot rodness or whatever, it took the guy and put the little German helmet on him. He's got his goggles on. He's smoking a stogie. Uh, it's just stuff I started thinking about. We got Candy Cantaloupes here, and she was taking a selfie, right? And I was like, nah, she needs to be holding a controller. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but she is holding a controller.
That's great.
So, because again, it's about scale stuff, right? So we like to take pictures of our cars and do stuff. Like if you ever watched any of Harry's things, you always know he's got the girls in the background or all the stuff. So
Little
I'm trying
homies.
little homies, right? I'm trying to put together a scene, right? So I'm going to build this jalopy. I'm doing a Model T Roadster. So I'm trying to set a scene. So I wanted, girls in there and the dude with the German helmet and, some other dumb shit. So, but it's fun. It makes the whole thing fun. It's not just about slapping the car on the track and racing, which is great. It's our number one thing, right? But there's a whole lot of other stuff that goes along with it. There's a lot of guys out there that are just as into the photography and making,
Right.
their scenes as there are doing other stuff. So, this 3D printing is a deep, deep rabbit hole, and I want to thank George and Harry profusely for dragging me down it.
What are friends for?
That's great.
I know, right? Jesus Christ! I'm glad you guys aren't my enemies.
That's
But
great.
yeah,
Yeah, the appeal of it is it's rewarding. It's just
it is
getting through all
creating
the
stuff,
doing all the process is what we've been through. Or you use a lot of resin because you make a lot of mistakes. And, it's like got to go order another $30 of resin because I'm running out because this didn't
right?
work the way it was printing. And it's also the file is important. Like I said, that person from Colts, D. Tomaso is his name. He has excellent files. Every time I printed one of his, when we got his stuff, it was perfect. I was like, this
Yeah.
thing ain't doing what the other stuff was doing from 3D printables. 3D printables is a hit or miss.
Yeah.
If it's garbage, it's garbage. It's not going to print.
Yeah.
It's a lost file, but you take that risk because they're not very expensive. But some come
Well,
out fantastic. It just depends,
price
you know.
price is no
Who's putting
indicator of quality either, though, because on
Yeah.
3D
No,
printables
no, you're that's correct.
there's a lot of $10 files that are really good, but there's also a lot of $25 files that are just pure
That are
trash.
garbage.
Yeah.
So, you just have to, and there's no
And-
way to know. That's the
And
bad
you
thing. There's no
don't
way to
know
know
until you try to print them.
until you download it and look at it and go, oh man, this is not good. It's
I
what they
see
call low
Buzzkill's telling
quality.
me you're surprised
The-
at what you can print in the detail on the bamboo. Yeah, that's the one I'm getting, Buzzkill. So, but
Oh yeah,
still,
Tad,
to
check
me,
these too.
yeah,
Yes.
the king of resin bodies is resin. It's not filament. Sorry, but for other stuff, it's great. But I prefer
Yeah.
the resin, and it is durable. We have crashed everything. Um,
Well,
I
just look at
mean,
my video of beating on them with a hammer. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
they're durable.
it's durable. We've tested them. I mean, you'd have to really force them real hard, like that Falcon. That interior tray actually split in the center. And what's nice about resin is that you use the resin, UV glue resin, and that makes it hard as rocks. It's like super glue. The thing is, you can't really use super glue because to me it degrades the resin, and
Right.
it starts breaking it down. So I used the UV glue, and that took care of that tray. But that particular car, I was running it into the wall. I mean, on purpose, full blast to get things to break or to see what part of the
Yeah.
chassis would break if somebody was, not that everybody intentionally goes full blast, but you may have a little 3-year-old or something just push the controller and then there goes your car. But it was just to test the durability, and that car got tossed around a lot. I mean, I smashed into all kinds of stuff with it. So,
What, this one?
Yeah,
yep,
Yeah.
that
there
one
were
in
several
particular.
resin cars at the showdown in January, and they survived Steve Stone. So
Yeah, that's true. Big money.
That's funny. That's
big money
funny.
couldn't kill them. So that's a pretty good testament to their durability.
But
Greg
yep.
says you'll love the bamboo printer.
Oh, thank you, Greg. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be here tomorrow, so I'll probably do a benchy, and then I ordered some PETG from Matter Hackers, is where I've been getting some stuff from, and I'm just gonna start out with a benchy and read up on the printer and what temperatures. I also got a it's like a dehydrator for certain filaments, so it's a dryer because I think carbon nylon's hygroscopic, so it takes from the air, so you need a dryer, so when it comes out, it's because it'll won't print as good.
Right.
The bamboo one I got has the ADS mount on it, which has 4 reels you could put in there, it's in the box, and it has an automatic motor feeder that feeds multiple colors if you wanna do multiple colors or one color, but it's a motor that feeds the printer into the printer head, and so I'm sure he knows more than I do about it, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That's really exciting. That's another whole part of creating that's gonna be cool, and, then I ordered the Centauri carbon one, but that won't be here till the end of May, so I was thinking, "Well, maybe I'll get this one too." So, that's what happens, you start buying stuff left and right, and you get your whole self committed to it and to do it, so
Yeah, it's just exciting to see what you guys are doing. You're enjoying it. It's obvious, or you wouldn't keep doing it. So
yeah.
that's part of the fun for me is, and then every couple days you have a package coming from George. So
There's another one coming.
yeah,
There's another Falcon, the blue one. I'm gonna send you the 55 too, because so I've offered this on both the lives, and nobody, I guess, don't want to do it. But I'll say it again in front of Marty's live here. Those cars, those are gonna go to Tad. If you guys want to try it on your track, message me
yeah,
or email me and let me know, and I'll have Tad send those to you so you guys
yeah,
can run and test them because they're test cars. So I mean, if you break them, I'm not going to be offended or mad. They're there
right,
to be tested to see how long they're going to really last. And,
Yeah,
which
right.
is
really
it's
like
just
some
a
feedback.
prototype.
Yeah, they're prototypes. That's what you got to do with them. So you got to know their
Yeah,
limits.
I would like some feedback. I mean, not that I don't trust George's feedback. His is impeccable feedback, but it'd be nice to get him in the hands of some other people out there, and bang them around a little bit and see how they handle it.
Yeah.
See what
Well,
everybody
since
thinks of
since
it.
I know since I know that I've got another one coming, I'll box this thing up and get it out to Tad tomorrow. So he knows that it's coming out.
Yeah, no problem. He's not worried about it. He
Yeah.
just finished building a
I know. Oh,
single lane with it. It looks really cool.
yeah, it does look fun.
So he's just, that's how it is. You get into it and start building other stuff. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, but I'm going to be doing more cars. I have a 57 Ford I want to send you, and then the Petty car. So there's two more I want because I want to be able to have them on your track with your guys there, and you all run three at a time because
Yeah,
every car. This is a thing like with Revo Slot. They have nemesis cars, right? There's an Alpha for a BMW for an Escort. When you come out with one single car, it's really you can't do really club racing. This is also a way to have people do proxies and club racing with these cars because there's
yeah,
multiple sisters that could run against each other, manufacturer against manufacturer, especially in the American area. Ford versus Chevy, Chevy versus Dodge, Plymouth. That's why
Right.
we wanted these things, these particular bodies, that way.
Matt P. Wait till you break your toilet paper holder. Now you can print one. That's great.
That's a good one,
But
right?
it's right, right? I mean, there are these little pieces and parts in your life that you're
Yeah,
like,
that's
man,
true. That's funny. I never think
I could
I
print
tell
that.
my
I
wife,
could 3D
the
print
toilet
that and
paper
fix
printer
that.
breaks, don't worry, I'll print you one.
That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
That's really
There's
good.
just about anything you could ever need is out there, and some things that you don't need, obviously. But there's just a millions and millions of pages of things to look at. It's like you need to really know what you're looking for when you start. Otherwise, oh my God, you spend all day looking for something, and yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. Ted says, "What a time to be a scratch builder." I just keep
Yeah,
saying, "What a time to be in the hobby." I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
What hobby?
it's
it
just
is,
the
and
hobby in
I
general.
have to say this one thing. I hate the signs that say slot cars are back. To me, that is incorrect. Slot cars never left.
Right.
They've
What
always
card?
been here. It's just people are rediscovering them, and they got rediscovered during COVID, obviously, 'cause everybody was stuck at home. So it's not slot cars are back. Slot cars never left. slot cars have always been here. They've been here through a part of America for, decades. It's just people are, like you said, the digital. Marty is probably the only one that I've seen that really evolved, because look where you're at now. Remember, I was on your first live stream when you did a live stream, your very
Come,
first one.
come a long way, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I saw you guys doing this, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, they're gonna get out of magnets. You watch. They're gonna go somewhere, and they're gonna see what a car does without a magnet, and then they're
Yeah,
gonna have a whole new idea of what the hobby is. But you didn't get a track, and which typically what happens, people get a track, buy for the kid, and then what happens? They fold it up and they stick it underneath the bed, and then it's forgotten. But you have kept with it. You
right,
got into digital. Your kids liked it, and you just get your friends into it, and then you start. Now look what you have now. You have a wood track. That's what happens.
right.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's just a
part of what,
it's a
a progression.
progression. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not that there's nothing wrong with a plastic track,
No,
please
not at
do
all.
not. Yeah.
No,
Plastic
So
track, I was
I
on
have
a
one now.
plastic track for many years, and so is Dave. He still has his Rebel, so I mean, there's nothing wrong
right.
with plastic track, but it's just
No,
cool to see how you evolved, and then
yeah,
now you're at this stage.
yeah. And
It's the fun part.
the evolution has been fun. Like it's just,
Yeah.
every time I walk around the corner, I discover something new. And I mean, like just like when we jumped into the first scratch build, like it took me a long time to like get up the nerve to do it. And then after I built the Jake Dyke Special, I was like, okay, that was fun. There were pieces of it that were frustrating, and and I had to get past that. And
Yeah.
there was such satisfaction of watching the car that I'd built from the ground up go around the track. And so then the next scratch build was easier because I had experienced it. I had figured it out a little bit better. And so and then, like this past weekend, I went to the cave and wood track silicones. That's not always the case, right? And I learned a ton on Saturday about what those guys were doing to go fast on that wood track. Beautiful track. So I learned a ton, and that's what I enjoy about this is every time I turn around, I'm always learning something new. I'm growing.
Yeah.
I'm opening up my horizons to what's out there. And, it's so easy to get trapped in I only do this or I only do that in the hobby. I was like, experience it all, man. Figure out
Yeah.
what you like and then go do
I mean,
that.
I'd
Yeah.
like to go to a national to watch just to see how people do that. I've seen it on a live, but it'd be interesting to go to one. I have nothing, like I said, against it. I'm just not
Yeah.
that type of person. That's just not my cup of tea. But that's what's nice about the hobby is that there's many aspects of it and, different things. I mean, people are into HO, which is really cool. You have people that are into, going to the nationals, going to just another part of the world,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. You get to see Italy. I mean, that's
Right.
hell
Yeah.
of a road trip.
It is one heck
And,
of a road
I
trip.
hope the Team America that's going up there does well because Home Racing World's supporting them, of course,
Yeah.
and
I will.
just some of the guys he knows in there, and it's a good thing. So I mean, but it's just nice to see also the home people hold their own races and do their own thing because that's really where the heart of the hobby is in the home track because your own home is your own castle, it's your own, safe place or
Yeah.
haven where you could do things and you could do things your way. Just like Frank Sinatra says it, I did it my way. That's how we are, Harry, myself, and I did it my way because I enjoy what I do because it's what I like.
Yeah, you talk about the frustrating part, Marty. For me, and I'm not a masochist or anything, but the frustrating part is actually part of the most enjoyable part because I turned 60 years old. I'll be 61 here in a month or so, and um, as I get older, my brain needs the stimulation, and
Yeah.
I enjoy the aggravation, so to speak. Like I got to figure this out, and it keeps my brain working, and so uh, I don't. I welcome the challenge, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people talk about like you were talking about magnets. Gotta run magnets, so the kids don't crash, and so this that, or other. It's like, well, what are you learning then if the car isn't going to come off the track? Just you gotta venture out. Yes, believe me, start with the magnets, but then move on to like you did. Like you went for one race and went, holy crap, this is way more fun without these magnets
Yeah.
in here.
Oh yeah.
And
We were
and
done.
now I bet you don't run too many magnet cars. And once in a while, maybe, probably, but
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of so people are afraid to venture out of their lane a little bit, and you might find you might like it. What's in the other lane?
Well, like what I discovered is that I was a pretty good driver on my track.
Right.
with magnets. And then when I went no magnets, I had to like refine my driving skill and get better.
Yeah.
And
Totally
that was
different.
the beauty of it. So 35 Salty wants to know if the lady Dave showed with the controllers is seeing anybody.
No, she is currently single and looking for a sugar daddy. So
That's
we
great.
take all applications.
Sugar daddy, remember that?
Paint by Greer. Guys, if I've missed any questions, please repost them because there's a bunch of comments tonight. Paint by Greer says, how do you spell the guy's name on Cults?
I put it on in the chat.
Did you already do that?
So look up like asphalt slot car bodies or asphalt body. They should pop up. You're gonna see them. You're gonna recognize them
Cool.
because most
Thanks,
of
George.
them are on there, and you'll see them. I don't know what I forget what he's charging, but it's I think it's like in American dollars is like 25 a file, but the file's yours forever, and it's an excellent file. I would use the settings on the video that I posted. If you look at it, I think it's the one before this one. I talk about all my settings on my Mars Ultra 4, and that's what I've been using. The Mars Ultra 4 is an excellent machine. I've worked the crap out of that thing. I mean, I've pumped so many bodies. I would say on that machine, I've pumped out about over 1,000 bodies already. That's how much I've done. So it's a good machine. You have to maintain it, of course, changing the FEP. The screen does
DJ
get
Patrick
to a
is
certain
asking if you had a
change it.
Sister.
Yeah.
Sister.
Mad
right.
P's asking what bamboo printer I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PS1 with the AMD or ADM, whatever they call that sits on top of it. The bundle. So I got that printer. I have a friend that doesn't live far from it. It's my wife's friend or her husband. He is into filament printing, and I've been kind of picking his brain. And he's kind of showed me his machine. He has an earlier bamboo, but it's he's knows a lot about it. So I usually go to him and ask him for some advice.
Yeah. Jerry says the sad part about a bad file is you not only out the cost of the file, but you've wasted resin and all the other things that go along with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cleaning
proper
the printer.
maintenance. Yeah. So what happens is that people will and I see this on there's a Facebook page. I see all the mistakes.
Yeah.
And people will tell them, "Hey, do this and that." If somebody doesn't give them an answer that I don't think is good, I'll, say what to do. But people don't understand when you have a failed print, what happens is when you have something to the build plate and it falls in the vat and then you do a tank cleaning, and what that does is exposes the resin to the bottom and you have to peel this like skin off.
Yeah.
And you have to do it carefully. Don't use your fingernail because you put a hole in the FEP and then you're gonna have a big mess. But you use a little plastic
resin anyway.
yeah. Yeah. Use your little plastic putty knife to peel it off. But really what you should do is when you have a failed print, run the tank cleaning, remove the tank, filter the resin back in, and then peel it off, and then inspect it, and then spray it with alcohol and leave a paper towel underneath it to see if you have any leaks. Because what happens is when you have a leak and it goes on the screen, it exposes it. And what will happen also is if you don't do that, the build plate will come down. If there's a piece of junk, it'll smash that piece and it'll break your screen. So there's more to it by just running a tank cleaning and peeling it off. You have to re-clean everything and then put it back in. I've done that several times and it saved me a lot. Before I didn't do that, man, I had to replace the screen, a bunch of, films because they had holes in them or they were leaking. So it's better to be, doing that to make sure nothing's wrong and then start over again. So that's the process that takes a lot of time and people don't really want to do that. Most people, there are a few rare guys that'll do it, but sometimes people become frustrated and then they don't want to do it anymore. And it does stink. You got to wear a good PPE, keep it ventilated. Gloves, alcohol, a big bib thing. You've seen me with a mask on and everything. So you have to really protect yourself because it is stinky. So is filament, but not as bad as resin. Resin's really bad.
You could get sensitized real quick like I did and end up with this rash all over your body for 2 weeks. That was not fun.
Yeah.
You gotta really take it serious.
So Jerry says, I thought you were leaning towards the Elegoo Carbon. I
already
know the answer. I already know the answer to that because that's the one I've been looking at, and it's like the waiting list for it is
Yeah.
really, really long.
Well, yeah, I pre-ordered it and I missed it by 8 minutes, so I'm on the second batch. The first batch would have been the end of this month now. The
Yeah.
second batch is May 31st. So when I was looking at the bamboo, I'm thinking, man, I really want to start. So I looked at the bamboo and just made the jump. It's a more expensive machine, but I was able to afford it. And then the Centauri one was cheap. It was only $299. I thought that was a good deal. That's why I jumped on it.
Yeah.
Pre-order so, but I mean, so now I got two. So I just, it's
Marty, what is
the only
your two-finger trigger made out of? What material is that?
I think
It's
PLA.
called a lot of hard work.
PLA.
Yeah, I think so.
Really.
Or that's going to be what the final version's made out of. This is the prototype, and the first thing they did was
That's
put
nice.
put a
Yeah, that's
screw, so that because it will come apart on you because it just kind of snaps together, and so then the second one has got a little tiny screw that you can screw through and hold it together, and so that's going to be the final. And hopefully, there were a lot of guys that had this controller over the weekend. I was surprised to see how many.
People have.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of people out there that have gone to the DS that might want a two-finger. So hopefully it'll be with Velocity slot car parts.
I look
they're
at
gonna
all
put
those
it on this-
knobs, and I kind of want to print something ridiculous. I kind of want to print this big old thing where I have a bunch of knobs on it, and then I'd be, a bunch of knobs controlling my controller. Something ridiculous, just as a joke. Almost like you'd have like a big thing, and you'd have a bunch of knobs for your controller.
So Jim Rose says he has an oval out there in California. He would love to test them. So let's see.
Yeah, we'll send him on up.
Let's see.
Bang him
Bang
up,
him
raise
around.
your hand.
John Albright raises his hand. He would he
Keep
would
him in
he
the
would do
slot.
some testing. He'll do some testing for you. And Carrera says if you got a racing pair, Jen and I will gladly test whatever you send. So Joe and
There you
Joe and Jen
The
on
only,
Monday nights.
the only problem with that is that it's Canada, and I think it's
Yeah.
because it's really expensive to ship. I think it would, I'd have to figure a way to try and see if I get it in the smallest box, and you'd have to put it together. And I could send you a kit, but the Canadian post, it's really really hard.
Yeah.
And nothing against Canada, it's just real expensive. But let me see what I could do, because it'd be nice to get somebody in another, Canada to do it and try it out. I'm open to a lot of things, but that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, Dan, the Carrera Digital can't take that away from them. They are very durable. They're made to run digital.
Oh yeah, well, look at that's how the Showdown started, was a Carrera chassis, right, Dave?
Right.
I have one of them, the original one. It was at
Yeah.
Torino.
Well, yeah. Harry was running a class with the vintage NASCAR stuff, and he was really. I remember he was so excited when those monogram, classic NASCARs came out in 132 scale, and it was a big deal, right? And then they got there, and I'll never forget him telling me that story the first time. He said he was so excited. He opened the box and he looked at it, and he said as soon as he turned it over and looked at the chassis, he said he just sat down and cried because it was the worst piece of shit that you ever could imagine. So he went to all this trouble to make this beautiful car with this junk underneath of it. So that's kind of where it started. It's like, well, screw it then. We'll just throw these away and put brass chassis under them. So
Yeah, I agree with Audio Enthusiast Network. Marty sounds bad. I've been hacking my head
Marty
off
does
for the last
sound
2
bad.
days. So,
hey, if you want to cut it short,
Racers are-
we don't
Brandon,
want you getting sick.
does Slot Car Corner have chassis jigs? Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brandon, I might have something for you, Brandon. If you will send me an email, I'll put it in the chat. My email address. Drop me an email. Let's see. here.
Dungeon Racer, Harry is out eating dinner. He was going to come in the chat, but he's been a little busy because they're asking where the third Amigo is.
Oh yeah, where the third Amigo
Oh,
is.
yeah. He's out to dinner right now. In fact, he just sent me a picture of his tacos. So
So, Brandon,
You do that all the time.
I just put my email. Brandon, if you will send me an email with your address, I might have somebody reached out to me and they have something for you, so it might help you start your scratch building, which is really cool. That's the beauty of this this Tuesday live.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, "Hey, Brandon needs some stuff. I have some stuff. I'll send him his way." So that's awesome. Gator Man,
Dave, man, I got the stuff.
how does the slot car in the slot car track work? Gator Man 15.
Electricity.
So, I'm Gator Man 15. I believe this is Eugene. This is one of my buddies from church, I think. Maybe. Eugene, you just need to come over and run on my track and I'll show you all about it. That's how we'll answer that question. So, but thanks for tuning in, man. He's part of my Monday night life group last night, and they got to hear me cough all the way through life group last night. Has anyone here been beta testing Smart Race app for Skeletric? I've not beta tested. I've used Smart Race, but not for Skeletric. But that's pretty cool that Mark is working on that. I know that he converted it for SCX and branded it for SCX in their digital that they're releasing, which is pretty cool. But I have not beta tested it yet. I don't have Skeletric. I don't have a Skeletric CU, so take me to your controller holder. I run both ways as well. Much depends on the kind of track you have. Yeah, I would agree. Oh, Blue Betty, Bam a Lamb. Thanks, Bo. You can always count on Bo.
Always count on Bo for the comic relief.
That's right. Thank you, sir. There you go. It's electrified on either side of the braid. So, links for the setup boards and pins. I have over 1,000 prints on my P1S. You're gonna love it. That's cool. There you go, George. That's a
cool.
Mad
All right,
P,
that's good to know.
Yeah, Mad P is telling you did a good thing. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good stuff about the bamboo.
The printer will hold that many files?
No, it has over 1,000 prints on it. He's saying.
Oh, he's done over 1,000.
He's done over 1,000 prints.
I was talking about the Saturn IV. I'm darn well sure I've done over 1,000 bodies already.
You won't need a 2-finger trigger if you go with the thumb. I can't do it, Joe. I can't do it. I know that you think that this is the way to go, but I can't do it. That's funny. Good night, Bo. What else do we have? Are there any other questions out there in the chat for George and Dave? I guess I was going to ask you guys what your thoughts on the new Lola. I know you guys mostly do scratch building.
I got to get one.
George has got to get one.
I got to get one soon.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't opened it up yet, so.
Yeah, talk about that. We want to hear more about that.
Well, I think what's going to be cool about this car is, this is NSR's. The 908 is so good. George, you have a 908? You have a couple of them, don't you?
I have a couple of them.
And I need, I've got a box I'm putting together for Dave, and it's got an NSR in it. I told him I would send him one.
I'm ashamed to say I do not have an NSR car of any kind.
He doesn't have one.
Really, Dave? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, NSR cars, man.
Oh, really? Damn.
So he's got one coming.
I gotta send you one.
Yeah, I've got.
Send you an extra one. I have.
I
have an extra one. I have a GT40. I'll send you that. I didn't know that.
I'm so wrapped up in all the other stuff.
Brand new.
I never think about these new releases that come out and all that. So
yeah, that's pretty. I like the color. Is that like a?
Yeah, it is cool. It's kind of
it's a light
golden.
Well, yeah, it's a light pink.
It kind of looks golden away. It's kind of trippy.
Yeah. So this is NSR's attempt to one up the 908. The 908 has become such a it's the car that everybody uses. Not everybody, but most of the top finishers in the Nationals was a 908.
A dominant car.
It's a dominant car, yeah. And it has to do with the wheelbase. It has to do with just where the weight of the body is. With that short tail, you don't have any weight up behind the rear axle. And so I think that this was their best bet. Now, this is considered the long tail because it's got that little piece back here.
In the back.
and then the short tail is going to be open, and that's going to be all open. And I think what we'll find is the short tail, once they release that, that will be the car, because it'll be even less weight behind the.
Those cars are real easy to tune, man. That
Oh,
doesn't
yeah, they
take
are.
much, and
Yeah.
they're just their tires are great. I mean, they handle great on the wood track and plastic. It's just very easy car to tune. If somebody were to first get into anything, those are pretty good starter way to get into tuning. Is those they're very simple
Yeah.
Those
and forgiving.
NSR tires are pretty good. I have with my fast lap challenge. I think the fastest car that we had here had NSR tires on it.
Yeah.
Mm.
They are grippy, like, oh my god.
Yeah, they are. They're really soft. They probably won't last long.
Yeah,
They wear pretty quick, I think.
kind of like Riva slot tires. After 100 laps or so, the tires are they're all over your track. They're little gumballs everywhere,
Yeah.
Get marbles.
marbles everywhere.
But I think that, this is their best effort to beat the 908, and they've had to really trick out the chassis. And so when Andrea was talking about it, I mean, check it out.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
see
Swiss
that.
cheese, man.
Yeah. Wow,
They've
that is different.
They've really reduced a lot of weight. And then when you compare it to a 908, like this thing's just barely off the track. It is really, really low. Just right out of the box. I don't know if you can see it, but
Thanks. Yeah, that's
Wow.
yeah. And so I
Crazy.
think that it's just low center of gravity. It'll be a good performing car, but it looks great. Yeah, people keep saying peach, but once I get it, if I put it under the regular light,
yeah, it'd be pink.
it's very pink. It's just a lighter pink. I was kind of hoping for something a little darker, because I was gonna redo Rexy on this, like Rexy 2.0,
Oh,
and paint it up that way. But I think I'll do something different with it now that I see the color in person. But a lot of people have been getting them. A lot of people pre-ordered them. This is going to be a super popular car. The liveries will come out later this year. I would probably say sometime around summer, maybe. They didn't say, but I think it's going to be a really good car.
The video of Andreas' name, that was a good video. How he was telling you about what he does with the cars.
Yeah, his tuning.
It's really
for these,
interesting how he
it's very
just
simple.
does everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't use, what did he say? He doesn't use weight. He says, I don't
no
use
ballast.
weight.
Yeah,
Yeah, no ballast. He leaves it loose. He says the front tires, you could change them to, I can't remember, there's something else, but it's not much. It's very, very little.
it's a very
you
minimalist
do to
tune.
it.
And
Yeah,
so
and
George,
it's
I've done that to my 908, one of my 908s. I just followed his instructions from that video exactly, and 10 laps in, I broke my track record with the car.
wow. See,
And
that's crazy.
with
Yeah,
what's interesting though, you have to change your driving style, because it's such a light car. You have to really change a little bit about how you drive. And John Albright and I talk a lot about, you got to keep the rear wheels behind the guide, right? You got to let that car track. And so as soon as you break loose, you're losing time, you're losing speed. And that car, especially because it's so light, you really have to drive it that way.
Yeah.
But it's helped me drive better, I'll be honest with you. But that tune did not work at the cave. I'll just say that. That's for plastic track. That's set up on wood, completely different.
good.
Yeah. So, but that's what's cool about. Yeah, John says the Lola sucks in the back. But,
And then you want to talk about the team going to
oh yeah,
Italy.
so
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's a nice cup.
Yeah, I got the coffee mug today from Paul. Paul sent me a message, and I woke up this afternoon because I slept all day, and I got a message from Paul, and he's like, "Hey, the post office said it just delivered something to you. I sent you some swag." And so
that's cool.
So Clover
That's nice. It has a Professor Motor. That's
Professor
nice.
Motor, Slot Car Corner,
Yeah.
and 2 lines on it, because
That's cool.
we're some of the sponsors for the team, and that's pretty exciting. I will roast coffee. I will drink my roast coffee in the morning out of this. But it's for those guys. I'm in a group chat with the team, and it's pretty exciting for me to listen in as they like prepare. So they got
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
they got
Very
their
cool.
cars today. Some of them got their car. They picked up their cars today. So they'll start tuning some cars. And like I'm excited for these guys. Like this is not going to be a cheap trip. I mean, it's a big
No.
commitment from
Right.
everyone to go to Italy to race slot cars. I don't know about you guys, but just having the conversation with my wife, hey, honey, I'm going to go to Italy
Yeah.
to race some slot cars.
Yeah.
You better take me with you, and we're gonna
Pre-
go see some sights. You know?
presents a whole problem in itself, right?
Yeah.
Um, but like it's just such a huge commitment for these guys to do it, and they're not the only ones. There are 3 teams from the United States going. You got the Spirit of
Yeah.
America
Who are the
guys,
other teams that are going there?
and LEB is putting a
LEV.
team in,
Okay.
and then Electric Dreams. And so when we were
Okay.
talking to Ian said there was a possibility of him going, and that he doesn't really do endurance racing, but you get a chance
Oh,
to
hey,
race in
why
Italy.
not? He's a winner on wood. Why not be a winner on plastic?
Right?
If you
Yeah,
could be both things and do both things,
yeah,
that's more power to you.
yeah. I
So I
agree.
would say, yeah, do it.
So I think that it's just been fun to listen to how excited those guys are
Mm.
for the trip and to go over there and compete. I think they'll do great. They've got some great drivers, and I know that they'll put together some good cars. And but it's going to be on Polycar track, which is probably kind of new for everyone. Not many people race on Polycar yet,
All the
especially here
tractor, yeah.
in the States. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, good for them. And like some of the cars that in the raffle. I mean, Harry was super generous with
Yeah.
Home Racing World's donation to the raffle. I thought that was just awesome. It's a Mosler, and
Yeah.
they made a special box for it. And I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Cindy
Yeah.
makes those.
Yeah,
His wife.
Cindy just
She does
yeah,
a
she-
lot of that stuff.
she knocked
She's
it out
really
of the
good at
ballpark.
it.
It was beautiful,
Yeah.
and so whoever gets that, that's very lucky. And right now, I mean, there's only I haven't checked the website, but I mean there was only like 38 or 39 supporters, so your shot at winning. I mean, that's a pretty good.
Even more.
Well, I mean, we still got a little bit of time, and I know a lot of guys will wait until it's the deadline, and so that's good. But I think that they're looking at maybe doing a few giveaways as we get closer to the date, just so the guys don't have to wait so long. And we've got so much to give away. So, but
And those raffles, so we do them too for Home Racing World. I mean, they're not. I think you made that comment earlier on where you said it's a money grab. If you wanted to, if something was really a money grab, it'd be one of those GoFundMe things.
right,
That's to me, I think it's a money grab.
yeah,
Offering
Yeah.
a slot car in a raffle is very. I mean, look, you have 38 people won. It's
right,
not a money grab. You're just trying to give something to someone who wants to, support them, and that's totally cool. That's good to have that. And I
yeah,
wish them I wish them luck, man. I hope they do real well and
yeah. I do
win the whole
too.
thing. It'd be nice to see an
That
American team,
it would be awesome,
take it off,
It would.
go over
but
there and kick some, butt.
I think that I mean after we watched Andrea race at the Nationals, the dude is good. So you know that they're putting
Well,
together.
he's on plastic track all his life too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all they've done over there. So I mean,
It's going to be fun.
we're over here in the U.S.
But
with wood.
what an amazing
so-
experience. This will be something that
Yeah.
they probably only do once in their life, and they'll be able to talk about it the rest of their life, and it'll be one of those like slot cars got me to Italy to run in a race. How
Yeah.
cool is that? I talk about my band days. I had a little band that we had some success here locally, and we would lead worship at camps for kids, and we would do concerts, and we got invited to go to Switzerland to a youth conference. My whole band piled up in an airplane, and we went over to Switzerland, and that's been
Oh,
like
wow.
12 years ago. It's like 12 years ago, and we still every time I get with my guys, we still talk about that trip. It changed our life.
Absolutely.
Like it was amazing. It was unbelievable what we got to see. We had an extra day, and we took the high speed train from Mulhouse, France, to Paris, and we jumped on one of the double decker buses and just saw as much of Paris in one day as we could. Trip of my life. The only thing I regret is the fact that I didn't take my family with me. that I was there with my band, and we just thought it would be too much. The kids were pretty young, and I regret that they didn't go. But
Yeah.
like an amazing time, and so these guys are going to be
Yeah.
able to look back at the same thing and go, "What an amazing trip!" But
One vacation I did was with the kids, and it's funny because we went around the whole United States. We saw, Niagara Falls, Mammoth Caves, the Mount Rushmore. We went to the Football
nice,
Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame. We hit a lot of things, and I remember the kids were always,
yeah,
and look grumpy, but what's really kind of like a amazing is that would tell me, "Hey, Dad, I remember when we went around and saw that. That was so fun." It was kind of like, "Well, I'm glad you really did enjoy it because at the time
right,
it didn't seem like you did, but you appreciate things like that more
yeah,
when you realize that it was a moment that you experienced, and then you look back on it and go, well, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did that. So that was
yeah,
something I'm happy that we did with them. We went to Yellowstone too and saw the whole fifth, but we did like a horseshoe around the United States because I
yeah.
lived in
That's crazy.
California at the time. So
Yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
uh it's a big trip.
Yeah,
So
You
we took
haven't
my
lived until you survived a showdown at Harry's place.
that's I when I
yeah, so that's what I was gonna tell you, Marty. And I would encourage anybody if they had the chance, to experience it. If you built like that, to really go down to a showdown race. It's
yeah, that would be fun.
you will be extremely well fed, and you will have to eat what's called a slot burger. A slot burger is
Famous.
a hamburger bigger than my hand, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like
You
an
had a small
initiation.
slot burger, George. We got off easy.
Yeah,
So
probably, but
so
it's like an
Harry
initiation. You have to eat the slot burger.
Yeah.
so Harry
It's
has
huge.
the inn though. Isn't his son a butcher? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
at the local
he can
market.
get some good meat.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
He gets
Yeah,
the
that's
cream of the crop
yeah.
for the yeah.
Lunch, breakfast, and dinner are
Top
always
shelf.
very, very good.
I'm sure.
It's snacks all the time. It's very great atmosphere. It's
It's very
actually going
generous.
in and actually getting a slot car education, as I call it, because there's a lot of things that are in there. Like the prototype NASCARs. He has one of them. Originally, it was the Roadrunner that was a lighter color originally.
Yeah.
He had the real early ones, and then later on they were darker. So he's got a lot of stories of the things that he done to get those cars to the US market, the USAC cars.
Yeah.
He was a big part of that. So
So
and he'll tell you about it and all the
That's
a lot
different
of
cool.
things he's
history in
done.
Harry's basement.
Yeah,
What's that?
I bet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history in Harry's
Yeah.
basement.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So when
Yeah,
you
that's
go
really
in
cool.
there, it's really I don't know, I can't describe it. The smell, the sight, and I
Yep.
I have it still in my head. I remember everything even when I go there every year. That's what really
That's
brings
really
me
cool.
You,
back. So
you know what's really weird, George, is that when Harry sends me a box, it's like as soon as I open the box, it's like
it smells
takes
like the
you right,
basement.
it takes you right
Yeah,
Yeah.
there. It's so
Yeah.
weird. And I know people don't get that probably, but it instantly
No, I know what you're
transports
talking about.
you to Missouri.
that's awesome.
And it's a really nice. It's cool. It's not hot in there because it's in the
Yeah.
basement, and it's a really great atmosphere to have a race and have fun there and eat and just really just get to know people.
Yeah, that's
So
really
Yep.
cool.
Let your hair
Maybe I'll get
down and
lucky to
race.
get an invite to go out there sometime. That would be
You have
fun.
an open invitation. You'll be my
yeah,
plus one.
There you go.
yeah. So
Joe posted. He had sent me a message. He's like, "Is it all right if I post the GRL?" So right now, here's the leaderboard for the GRL. So some of you guys I know in the
oh
chat
yeah, I
watch
saw
the
it. The
GRL.
Oh, gee.
Gene is in first and kicking
Ooh,
Mr.
butt.
G.
damn!
Mr. Tucci is in second
Wow,
place,
John in second. All right, see
Yeah.
Team America.
and then Jen Ripple is in third. And so
All
Joe
right,
doesn't make the top three. He's not on the podium, but
Wow.
his girlfriend is.
I'm still losing.
So
That's crazy.
that's
Well, that's
awesome.
awesome, Gene. Congratulations to
Yeah,
Gene,
well
man.
done, Gene. Yeah, good job, guys. That's awesome. I've been watching some of the videos. I try to catch them when I can.
I
There's so
watched a
much
few.
there's so much content right now. It's really hard to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
A lot.
But which is an awesome problem. The least amount of added weight you can get away with, the better. Magnets, all bets are off. There you go. the rear of the Lola is anything like the 917, I bet it does suck. Broke the rear off my 917 the first outing. Yeah, the stuff is pretty fragile on the 917s, the 908s. This looks a little more substantial, so I think that it might hold up a little better on the Lola. Yeah,
Wife.
Dungeon. Yeah, wife. That's easy. She's coming with me. That's my wife would be coming with me as well.
Yeah, there'd be no getting around that.
You have to sell it. That's why you tell yourself, honey, we're going to Italy. We're going to go see things. You don't mention the slot car stuff. You just tell them, well, I'm going to go out for a night. You can go ahead and, go over here while I do this.
Greg says it's an innocent
credit card, honey. I'll see it later.
That's right.
It's an innocent hobby.
Dusty says, I've got a good chance then he must be talking about the raffle. I know he bought his ticket. I need to get my ticket in. I'm wanted in Italy, so I might not be able to go. Pay attention to the speeding cameras and know that they average your time on the interstate between those cameras. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I know. I've driven on the Autobahn, which was a cool experience. But when I drove on the Autobahn, I was in a 12-passenger van driving. So
things were zooming by you.
Of all things to be driving on the Autobahn,
right?
It was a 12-passenger van. We were headed to Lucerne. So I did take my kids. We went to Germany. We have friends that live in Germany, and so we spent a holiday there and had a great time. And my kids got to see Germany, Switzerland, and France, and it was just it was an amazing trip. But they didn't have we had to borrow a van for all of us to get around in, and they borrowed this 12-passenger van. It was like the youth group van, and they all none of them could drive a stick, so I was the only person that could drive a standard, and so I had to drive it all week.
Oh man!
And I was like, "What about my driver's license?" And they're like, "It's okay. Ohio driver's license is valid in the UK. You do not have to get a special permit or anything."
So were you, when I think of vacations and stuff like that, I always think of the movie Vacation. Were you going around hey kids, there's Big Ben. Hey kids, there's Big Ben.
Just keep going around.
Get stuck on a roundabout.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, we that movie Vacations with our family, we laugh because the year that we drove back to Missouri to go to Harry and Cindy's house for Thanksgiving, it was a total vacation moment. The kids in the car, my wife. Well, we'd been driving forever and ever, and it was November, so there was some snow and some ice here and there, and I'm not used to driving in that stuff. And anyways, I sort of nodded off, and when I woke up, it was just like, when you see them jumping across the desert out into nowhere kind of thing. Yeah, we were doing 360s down the on-ramp or the off-ramp of the freeway, and it wasn't planned, and at the end, it just sort of landed perfectly like they did in the movie, so. Yeah, so I get called Clark W. Griswold all the time because of that one. Look, they didn't kill us.
Make me laugh. That hurts my chest. I have a funny. This has nothing to do with slot cars, but hopefully John Mark's in the chat. My band, John Mark, was our sound guy, and then he would drive our rig. So when we go to a gig, we had this big Ford Excursion we pull our trailer with, and we would drive through, and he would always drive. And we had a late gig and got out late, and we're headed home, and it's the middle of the night. We're trying to get home for church. So it's a Saturday night, Sunday morning early, and I'm in the passenger seat, and I look over, and John Mark is out. He's asleep driving. And I look over, we're exhausted, and I look over, and I'm like, oh, look at John Mark over there. He's just sleeping away. And then it dawned on me, He's driving. And I was like, John Mark. And he's like, you're going to have to drive the rest of the way home. I can't keep my eyes open anymore. And so the rest of the night, I'm like up on the steering wheel, trying to keep myself awake.
Oh, yeah, opening the window. And
how we survived that trip, I have no idea. But we sit and laugh. About that. But, I mean, it was like I stared at him for like 2 minutes. Like, look at John Mark over there sleeping. Look at him. He looks so cute over there sleeping. He's like snoring a little bit.
Down. He's on here.
Oh my gosh, we've laughed about that story a million times. How we didn't all die. I have no idea how we didn't all die.
I never live that down.
Yeah.
I have a question, Marty. Since you're in that chat group with those guys, have they tried on getting some polycard track to practice on?
Well,
Since it's
it's
going to be a polycard track.
yeah, two of them just ordered polycar tracks
Mm.
and they shipped today, I think they said in
See,
the group
that's a good
chat.
thing,
So
and that way they could really adjust
yeah,
the
see how
car
the
for that type of track.
yeah, what the tires will do. They'll at least
Yeah,
get an idea. Yeah. But
because
man,
going into something you don't know what you're getting into, it's best to have something to try and you know match what you're gonna race on.
I had to pay $2,700 to Switzerland or I couldn't get back into the country.
Yikes!
Ouch.
So
I didn't have that
switch
problem.
things.
Mr. Albright, once we got used to run on no mags, running a magnet car was kind of difficult. Hard to find the limit again. Yeah, I would agree. Like once you start driving no magnets, um, true, John. Some folks think you slam the trigger and go.
Island crashes.
White Wolf asked where the race is at in Italy. I think they're near Rome, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up.
Or maybe is it near the NSR factory because they have isn't it a factory
Yeah,
near Rome or something like
yeah,
that?
I think so. Yeah, I would say it's pretty close. I think the guys are getting a tour of the NSR factory, which is really really cool. And
That
then
would be
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be a place to go and check it out.
that'd be
I've
awesome.
That's
seen
the highlight of
pictures
the
of
trip.
it. But that'd be nice. Naples, Dungeon Race saying Naples.
Naples, that's cool.
Naples.
And then Linda from Thunderslot, when she sent me an email, she offered to meet up with the team, their
Hmm.
people, to meet up at a club near Rome and talk about some of the new things they've got coming, I think, which is really awesome. So hopefully the team gets to arrange that where they get to meet up with the Thunderslot people too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That would be
So
cool.
yeah. But yeah, there's just some cool things happening for the guys, and it's just George. Thanks for bringing that up. So
Yeah,
talk a little bit
of
about
course.
them.
I mean, we want to. That was part of the focus too, not just this. We want to
Yeah,
hear the
well,
other stuff
but
too.
no, it's been fun to talk about it. I mean, heck, it's 9:30, almost 9:30. It's flown by. I
Yep.
wasn't I was
It's
expecting to
dinner
struggle a
time.
little bit. It probably is your dinner time.
Yep, they're eating it over there right now.
All
They've
right.
eaten it without me.
Well, we can. Hopefully, I got to everybody. I'm at the bottom, but I may have missed some questions. Guys, thanks for tuning in. George, Dave, man, I can't tell you what your friendships mean to me. Thanks for
Oh,
jumping on tonight. And I just, we
No
we
problem.
talk about this a lot. I've gotten to meet a lot of really great people through slot cars in the
yep,
in 3 short years. And
yep,
like for two people that I've never met in person, like I think about you guys every day. Like you've become part of my life
yep.
on a daily basis, and I know we
Me
talk a
too.
lot back and forth, and your friendships mean a ton to me, and I just want to thank you.
Yep,
Well,
same
thank you for
here.
having us on to talk about the
Oh heck
chassis
yeah,
and stuff. Because
yeah,
your channel is really I think your channel is the most channel that reaches everybody, in my opinion, because you dabble in everything, not just one thing, and that's what makes you unique. Because you kind of really make look at all the different aspects, which is cool, and that's why people watch the channel. That's why you have a lot of viewers. So
yeah.
that's
Well,
good.
I appreciate that, George, but I
Very
wouldn't
neighborly.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys being supportive and showing up every Tuesday and being a huge part of the chat and being moderators for me, and it just means a lot. And we gotta figure out how to meet up and
Yep, I agree. I agree with
and
that.
have a dinner. And you might be right. Maybe the place is at Harry's that we
Yeah,
make that happen. Because I haven't had an appetite all day, but talking about the burgers, I got
yep.
my
Yeah, the
stomach growling.
food. Trust me, the food is fantastic. Harry
You won't,
is
you
very
won't
good
go
at the
hungry.
smoker and the barbecue grill. He's
He's good
excellent.
at it. That's
Yeah,
something I've
very.
never. I'm okay on the grill, but I'm not ever gotten into smoking things. So
Oh man, he smokes some.
yeah.
He's got to smoke some good meat and stuff. It's really good. So first night you roll in, you'll have a steak in your face. It's
Oh
usually how
boy.
it is. That's what it is. There is a video of me eating a slot burger. I mean, I'll show it to you on my Facebook thing. I kept it. It was huge. So
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that picture. It's gigantic. I'm looking at the chats. It says maybe Marty needs to go as team with Team America. They actually invited me to go, Daryl, and I can't make it happen. And then what else? So Ben was the winner of the weekend at the cave. The dude is fast.
Oh, cool.
He's really fast.
Cool.
So that's
You
cool
have
that
poly
you.
car track in the area.
Yeah, that's cool.
Slicker and Carrera.
Yeah,
I think if them racing on that or practicing on that, that'll be a real big hit. They'll be ready.
Yeah, I think Ben, you probably run silicones, and silicones on polycar are probably pretty slick, but rubber tires probably hook up really well on polycar.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Dan asked if Dave lives in Missouri. Yes, he lives near Uranus. Right?
Does Dave?
Dixon. Oh,
Who do you mean?
I think he actually meant Harry.
Oh, Harry. Oh, yeah. Route 66. There's actually a town called, and it actually has its own name, and it has its own mayor, and it has its own zip code, and it is Uranus, Missouri. Believe it or
Yep.
not.
Yep.
There's a thing called the Fudge Factory there, and
Yep.
that's something that's really close to where Harry's at, and we usually go there. And there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and it's pretty funny because
Yep.
there's a lot of innuendos about fudge at Uranus, and
Oh yeah.
they
You
had
see
other
signs
stuff that
all
I
the way
can't
out
really talk
70.
about on here that they had before that somebody got rid of, but it's funny. It's a funny place. It's just
But no, I do not live in Missouri. I am in California. I'm on
Yeah,
the other side of the
Dave is in
other side of the
California.
country. I'm probably the farthest away from all of you guys. Well,
yeah,
except
you
for
are.
as far as being in the States, anyways.
Yeah. Well, guys, we'll wrap things up, man. I really appreciate you being on. It was fun. I can't wait till you guys release these things. If you end up doing it, I think they'll be popular. And I
Just
think
have
guys
to
will
be
have
patient
good
with
time.
the process. It's still now that we have the filament printer. Just got to get them out there and have them run around and see.
Yeah.
It just takes time. It's not going to be like something like tomorrow.
Nope.
So
When it's right, it'll be right, and that's when it'll happen. So.
Yeah, Dan, that's Dave, and he's in California.
Yeah,
That's me, California.
Yep.
And I'm
So
no
guys-
gentleman. Thank you.
Yep.
Dave, right there, Dave.
That's right.
You're like the Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch.
Squares and stuff.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate everyone. And as always, as George and I both sign off, the same thing, go have fun racing.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.